Hello, everyone. This is Dongfang, your host of the City Talks with Dongfang. Today, my guest is Mr. Christopher Marte, candidate for City Council District 1. Hi, Mr. Marte. Thank you so much for coming to this interview.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. Could you please tell us why you've decided to run for the City Council District 1 again?
So I ran 4 years ago on a major principle of affordability, anti-displacement, and anti-gentrification. As we look in Lower Manhattan, whether you live in Lower East Side or Chinatown, the prices of our rent has been increases. The prices of property taxes have been going up. The cost of living has constantly been going up year by year. Being born and raised in that neighborhood, I've seen cousins, neighbors all move because the city or that neighborhood was no longer affordable to them. And so I decided to run again because even 4 years later, our city government and our councilwoman hasn't done enough to address these issues, especially coming out of this pandemic. That's the core thing we have to focus on: housing, economic recovery, and making sure people can stay in the community that they help build.
You come from an immigrant family. Could you please tell us what your early life looks like?
Yeah, so my family, my parents came here in the late 70s from the Dominican Republic. Many of them came for what we consider the American dream. So they came here with not a lot of money and with my two older sisters. My dad became a bodega owner and my mom became a garment worker in a factory in Williamsburg. Times was really hard for them, but they really worked hard to make sure that we got a great education, that we were provided with all the services we needed. And so far, me and my siblings have been successful because of the sacrifice my parents made in coming here with hardly anything, but working hard to make sure that we got what we needed.
Yes, supporting small business and property tax reform are the big issues we talk a lot about. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so my dad's bodega had to close because of rent hikes. This is caused because of the property value and the property tax of Lower Manhattan. And the biggest issue we're facing is speculation. And right now, we don't have protection to focus on this massive increase of property taxes. This not only affects mom and pop landlords, where there's a lot in Chinatown, the Lower East Side, but it also affects small businesses because the increase of taxes typically doesn't go to the residential tenant, it goes to the commercial businesses. And so what I propose is to pass protective zoning, just like there is in the East Village, down to the Lower East Side and Chinatown. There's a plan already created by the community for the community called the Chinatown Working Group Plan. This plan will put height limitations on any new building, make sure that we have protection for tenants, both commercial and residential, and make sure that we build new, deeply affordable housing for. Yeah.
Right. You've been expressed a lot of concerns regarding affordable housing.
Yeah.
What would you do differently if you elected?
Yeah, so we need to start looking at more sites to build more affordable housing. Right now, we have identified 3 new sites when I'm in the council office so we could actually move forward on. One is World Trade Center number 5 site, which currently we want to push for 100% affordable housing. There's also a federal parking lot in 2 Howard Street, just a few blocks away from Chinatown, where the Biden administration already gave us the green light to build 100% affordable. On Grand and Clinton in the Lower East Side, we have another site where we could build 300 permanent affordable housing units. And I believe it's just not saying that they're affordable units, because typically is, who is it affordable for? We got to make sure that they're deeply affordable to deal with the homeless crisis and to deal with people who want to remain in their community but can't afford to live there.
Right.
Yeah.
You also co-founded 2 community gardens in your district.
Yeah.
Tell us why this project is so important to you.
It's really important for a number of reasons. As we saw during the pandemic, outdoor space was the only place people can go to clear their mind, breathe the air, exercise, and feel relaxed. And if we look throughout Lower Manhattan, whether it's East River Park, Columbus Park in Chinatown, that's the living room for many of our seniors. That's where people go, play mahjong, play dominoes, interact. It is a community. And so I believe it's not only like good for people's minds, I think it's perfect, and it's what we need to continue to build community. And so I not only want to defend the community spaces and park space that we have, I think we should build more and be really aggressive in that fight.
Why are you against the jail planned for White Street?
Yeah. So the jail plan is a false narrative. You know, we don't need to build a jail there. Chinatown already has a jail. Right now, what they want to do is build the world's largest jail in the heart of Chinatown. This is not only going to affect the community, it's going to affect the small businesses. The construction is going to take close to 10 years. Imagine the traffic now on Canal Street, one of the worst streets when it comes to traffic, and having a mega construction site there. It's really going to kill Chinatown. When we're fighting to open up Park Row, when we're fighting to support businesses in Chinatown, our city government wants to spend $8 billion, I think $11 billion, in building new jails. We don't need that for Chinatown. What we need is economic investment. We need infrastructure improvements. We need to open up Park Row so we can actually continue to improve Chinatown and its legacy.
Right. After Mayor de Blasio announced his plan to phase out the gifted and talented program for elementary students, you issued a statement saying that you were shocked and disgusted. Why did you feel that way, and what would you do to ensure the program's survival?
Yeah, I was frustrated because he had 8 years to work on this. 8 years to talk to parents, talk to teachers, talk to students. But what he did was overnight just put a bomb in our education system. And so it's really frustrating being a candidate, talking to people who are currently in G&T, talking to parents who want their kids to go to G&T, to explain to them, we don't know what's gonna happen. You know, that's not good planning. And I think we've seen this administration, de Blasio himself, do this with everything, whether it's the Chinatown jail, with G&T, with almost everything he puts his hand to. And so I'm confident that I can work with Eric Adams, what I believe is going to be the next mayor, to make sure that we continue to bring great education in our schools. It's going to take a lot of work, but I think we need to start now listening to parents, making sure that they're part of the process, and we figure out a way forward.
What is your position on preserving or eliminating the SH-SAT test?
Yeah, and so we all know the SH-SAT is under mayoral control. And Eric Adams said now he's going to keep it, at least his last public statement. And so we have to work with him, not only to keep it, but expand the program to make sure that every other school has great education. You know, in our district, we have a school, Mary Burcham, where only 30% of the kids are at grade level. That's ridiculous. We're in Lower Manhattan. We should have the best schools in the city. And so it's not only making sure that the specialized schools are good, but we gotta make sure that every other single high school is also at that level or can get to that level. And so it takes investment not only in preparation, making sure that the buildings and the facilities are up to code, and making sure that the kids feel good about studying and knowing that we're going to give them all the investment and resources that they need.
Yes, in your statement, you stated that I'm committed to work with the next mayor to improve our schools and the public education system.
Yeah.
What kind of improvement would you like to see?
So there's a few things that we can do off the bat. Our district, our community was promised 2 schools. One part of the Essex Street Crossing development, which is on the Lower East Side. The next, the NYU development plan, also promised us a school. What I want to do is make sure that we start construction on both of these schools. Imagine if your daughter or son who lives in Chinatown was able to go to a new modern school created by NYU. The last time they built a school in Chinatown, it was 70 years ago. And so sometimes it's about the infrastructure, making sure that we have new science centers, we have new gymnasium, new auditoriums. If anything, we saw how bad our school system was because during this pandemic, kids couldn't go into a classroom because there wasn't ventilation. And so what I want to do immediately, and what I have the control to do, is make sure that we build new modern schools for our district.
Yes, You have been exposed to Chinese culture ever since your college years.
Yeah.
Yes. What would you do for the improve the life of Chinese and other minorities community?
Yeah, I've been so fortunate to be able to travel the world at such a young age. And I was able to spend 2 years in China, mostly in Hangzhou. And it just opened me up to the culture, the history, the language, the legacy. And it's really helped me connect with residents in my district. Right now, when I talk to whether it's a laundromat owner, or a restaurant worker, or a home attendant, and they realize that I went to China, it really changes how they talk to you, how they engage with you. And so it's really changed my life, and it's changed my experience. And I've been back to China 5 times since college. I really love the country, I really love the people, and I'm happy that I'm gonna be able to represent people who come from there.
So do you learn the language there, or you study any subjects over there?
So I studied a lot of history, a lot of culture. 我知道一点杭州，中文。
中文. Can you say something in Chinese?
Yeah, I did. But it's been a great experience, and I think it's being able to use what I know so far and continue to grow, and making sure that people know that I'm going to continue to invest in my knowledge of their culture.
Yes, in your opinion, what needs to be done to address the issue of anti-Asian hate crimes?
Yeah, and so what we need to make sure is that we call out every crime when it happens and every incident. I think a few months ago, we were having protests and rallies and making sure that we were being supportive. But recently, we haven't seen that. And, you know, as we all know, this is continuing. And so I think we have to continue to put a spotlight on it. We have to continue to make sure that people who commit these crimes, that, you know, they get the punishment that they need. But we also need to make sure that we bring education about that we're all the same people. We all come from the same community. My story, my parents' story are similar to a lot of people in my district. My mom was a garment worker. A lot of, you know, seniors in Chinatown were garment workers. My mom is a home attendant now. There's really no difference between people who live in our community. And so I think we have to start early to make sure that we give them the proper education to say, we're actually the same. And I think that young education really changes how people perceive the rest of their lives. By me able to travel to China, travel to Europe, travel to South America at a young age, made me realize that there weren't differences between us. Even though in New York City, they like to put barriers, say, oh, Chinatown, Lower East Side are different. Actually, have more things in common.
Right.
And we have similar struggles, and we have similar opportunities. And I think we need leaders that are willing to tackle that head on and say, if you're being attacked, I'm also being attacked. And so I think we need to make sure that we continue to put a spotlight on it. We have to give the education and the resources to make sure that people feel protected and safe.
Yes, thank you so much. Any thought on police reform?
So I believe we do need some more accountability. You know, I think we've seen the past year our police force really get away with a lot of things that I don't think is kosher. And there's different ways we can do it. You know, there's the CCRB, which is the Civil Complaint Review Board. I think those positions should be elected by the public to help keep police departments accountable for some of their actions. Right now, what we see is police keeping other police officers accountable. And in any other business, that doesn't make sense, right? And I think we have to make sure that we have that structure in place so we could add transparency and so we all can feel safe. And we could all have acknowledgement that our city is working for us to make sure that no matter who you are, you feel protected.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marte. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, right.